Hello, BookTube. Bit of a reading update here on this bright, sunny interlude before the next 5 days of horizontal, blowing, freezing sleet. Starting with this huge thing I've mentioned on this channel before. This is J.C. Beagleholt's gigantic, definitive biography of the great explorer, Captain James Cook. That I recently found a copy that I could claim for my very own without sending out. That's in perfect condition, and I've been rereading it. I love biographies more than any other kind of genre. You all know that, and I love it especially when biography isn't what it looks like. And when you look at something like this, you immediately think this belongs in a library and is dry as dust, and it isn't. Oh boy, is it not! Every page I'm reading, and I'm just remembering the work that Beagleholt does to make this a great book, a great reading experience. I just love it. It is going to be my backstop companion for the whole of the weekend. But we also have books, so I thought we'd go over. We have a couple of packages here. We'll go probably more, probably another delivery today, or maybe two. In the meantime, I thought we'd go through these and see what we have here. For instance, what is this first one? Oh, terrific. What perfect timing. This is Todd Purdom. This is Something Wonderful. In the finished copy, this is with the embossed letters. This is a professional biography, an account of the working lives of Rodgers and Hammerstein, with the Al Hirschfeld cover, the illustration on the cover there. And this is perfect because I'm reviewing this, and when you're reviewing a serious work of nonfiction, it really helps to have an index. It really helps to have the work cited. It really helps to have all the appurtenances that you don't get in an advanced copy. So this couldn't happen at a better time. This is great, because I'm writing that this weekend. And I want to do it justice, even though I only have 850 words. I want to do it justice. Let me see here. Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein's first musical, Oklahoma, opened on Broadway on March 31st, 1943, and will mark its 75th anniversary this spring. That show, along with Carousel, whose new Broadway revival opens on April 12th, South Pacific, The King and I, and The Sound of Music, firmly established Rodgers and Hammerstein as the apex of the great age of the American songbook. The two men had previously written dozens of Broadway shows with other collaborators, but together they pioneered a new art form, the serious musical play. Their songs and dance numbers served to advance the drama and reveal character, a sharp break from the past and the template on which all future musicals would be built. And in the early days of Oklahoma, in its formative days, it was tough getting that vision across, even to the actors in the original rehearsals, because they were used to the old way of Broadway musicals, which is that you are talking and you are fighting, or you are disagreeing, or you are scheming, and then you stop and sing, and then you go back to talking and scheming and disagreeing. Whereas in Rodgers and Hammerstein play, you're in a different place at the end of the singing than you were at the beginning, and that was remarkable. Let's go on here. This book offers a fresh and revelatory look at the personalities of these legendary figures, their relationship with each other, their creative process, and their groundbreaking innovations. It's full of illuminating anecdotes about the biggest stars of the day, including Yul Brynner, Mary Martin, Julie Andrews, Stephen Sondheim, Irving Berlin, and, say it with me now, Ethel Merman. Purdom introduces readers to many other creative artists on the ArdH team, whose contributions and innovations are not as well known as they should be. He also sheds light on the partners' emotionally distant relationship, even as they created one of the most profitable and powerful entertainment businesses of the 20th century. And I can't wait to do this justice. I can't wait to be one of the people reviewing it, because I have a very long and very active, used to have a very long and very active involvement with Broadway musicals. They were my preferred form of entertainment, minus only one, which I'm not even going to bother to mention. I went to them religiously, all of them, even the crappy ones, even the ones that are rightfully forgotten today. And I went many times to the great ones, back when you could do that, back when it wasn't a mortgage payment to go to one performance. So this is great. I'm so glad to have a finished copy. So this comes out on April 3rd. And that is, if you are a musical theater fan, you absolutely have to have it. It's so good. And of course, the title comes from The King and I, from a song that I don't even want to know what quote unquote progressive feminists in the 21st century would say about the song "Something Wonderful." I don't even know what they'd say about it. It's a song of advice by a court wife that is full of what it would now, I'm sure, be considered enablement. I'm sure there are clips on YouTube, so you don't need me to sing it for you. But it's fascinating. Then we'll move on to this next one. This is the second and last package today, unless we get more stuff. So what have we got here? Monsoon Mansion in a finished copy. This is by Sinelle Barnes. Am I getting that name right, you? She's an essayist, a memoirist, an educator, and a candle maker, with a BA in Media Studies and Journalism from Hunter College and a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from Converse College. Books have been one of the constant in her life through her tumultuous childhood in the Philippines, her years living as an undocumented immigrant in New York City. Jeez, that's not easy. That takes guts. Her time as a new bride living in the American South, and as she completed her MFA program and began writing about her secrets. She lives between two states with her husband and daughter, New York, where she's always inspired to write, and South Carolina, where she can be close to the ocean. How fascinating. Okay, so, and I don't know if you can see here on the crappy camera, but on her wall, first of all, she looks extremely collected. She looks like someone you'd want to hear a story from. And she has a wonderful little dog on the couch with her. But behind her, she has a natural history chart about cetaceans and also a framed black and white photo of a super hottie. So, I'm kind of on her team. So what do we got here? Sinelle Barnes, I'm sorry if I'm massacring that first name, was barely 3 years old when her family moved into Mansion Royale, a stately 10-room house in the Philippines. Filled with her mother's opulent social aspirations and a glorious excessive evidence of her father's self-made success, it was a girl's storybook playland. But when a monsoon hits, her father leaves and her mother's terrible lover takes the reins. Formerly a home worthy of magazines and lavish parties, Mansion Royale becomes a dangerous shell of a splendid palace it had once been. In this remarkable ode to survival, the author creates something magical out of her truth, underscored by her complicated relationship with her mother. Through a tangle of tragedy and betrayal emerges a revelatory journey of perseverance and strength, of grit and beauty, and of coming to terms with the price of family and what it takes to grow up. So this is a memoir of that sounds like it's going to have an interesting, prominent feature of a house. And it's got, on the cover here, it's got these raindrops. The cover is, it's designed by Face Out Studio, and the illustration is by Zimei Liu. Okay, so what have we got here? Oh, okay, this is little A. This is the imprint, the translation imprint of Amazon Publishing. Where they do original works in translation, and on this channel in the past, you have many times heard me hand-wring about what to do with Amazon books, as a reviewer, not necessarily as a reader. In fact, not at all as a reader. I've read whoever they've got, the editors they've got running their literary arm, know what they're doing. I have almost never read a flat-out bad Amazon book, and I've read quite a few that were noticeably good. So good that I have to believe that the author would have had complete success shopping it around elsewhere and went to Amazon because they get a bigger slice of the pie in terms of royalties. But in the past, I have agonized on this channel because I haven't wanted to, as a reviewer, I haven't wanted to direct reader attention with praise to the literary products of a company that is so unethically predatory as Amazon. And I have agonized over that because it's not, on the one hand, I want to say it's not the author's fault. They're looking for the best deal. They're looking out for their bottom line. They're trying to get their work out in the public. And on the other hand, I want to say It is entirely the author's fault, and it's not a question of saying the author's not in control of the publisher's business practices, because we're not talking about socking money away in offshore haven accounts. We're talking about screwing authors, which authors ought to care about. It ought to be a line in the sand so that you say, well, okay, Amazon would probably take this manuscript, whereas Henry Holt might not, and Amazon will give me a much better deal in terms of the front and back end of money. But look at how Amazon treats its authors. Ethically, I can't do it. In the past on this channel, that's exactly the kind of waffling and agonizing that you have heard from me. But in the last week, I have changed my mind. In the last week, I've changed my mind completely. I'm now 100% on board with all things Amazon. I will be reviewing their books instead of just reading and enjoying them. I'm very happy that the Amazon people have been sending me these books, even though they've had no reviews to look at, in sequence. But I'm going to be changing that. I'm going to be reviewing Amazon books, and I'm not going to include any kind of little caveat, a line or two in the review about what I just said. And on top of that, I'm going to buy a new Amazon Kindle, and I'm going to pay for Amazon Prime, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So and that's a change. And there are hardly ever any changes on this channel. So there you go. No more agonizing over Amazon. I'll sort out the ethical qualms on my own down the line, if there even are any. Certainly, although the authors may be to blame, are in fact to blame for getting in bed with the devil, the books, the text itself, is not to blame for anything. Obviously, as we've discussed, right, and it's been discussed on many other channels, the text is completely independent from the author's moral or ethical choices, the author's history, any of it. You judge the text on its own. And I have read many Amazon texts, not only Little A, but also Amazon Crossing and a bunch of other things that were quite good. Good enough to recommend to a readership. So all I needed, I guess, was a little nudge, a little orange nudge, and I got that. So anyway, so there we go. We have Captain James Cook, Something Wonderful About Rodgers and Hammerstein, and Monsoon Mansion, a memoir that sounds pretty interesting. And that's it for today. That's a little reading update for right now, but I'm sure there'll be more. So stay tuned. Thank you, BookTube.